electric prunes for Fox, bringing you the exciting new sound of the Fox wah-wah pedal. Let the electric prunes demonstrate the difference. Play it prunes first without the wah-wah pedal. Now, listen to the difference when you push that Fox wah-wah pedal down.
Dick.
You can even make your guitar sound like a sitar. It's the now sound. It's what's happening. That's why the Electric Prunes, Animals, Herman's Hermits, Paul Revere and the Raiders, Stones, the Seeds are all using the Fox wah-wah pedal, and it works with any amplifier. If you're a professional musician or want to sound like one, get with the new Fox wah-wah pedal and your
I'll
Fox
just
dealer
sound like one.
now.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Music Relish Show, episode number 76 with your hosts, Lou, Mark, and Perry. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. All right. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Hey,
Gotta
happy
say,
Father's
happy
Day,
Father's
you
Day.
guys.
Thanks, Perry.
Thanks, Perry.
Yeah, thank you. So, tonight, this is what we're going to do.
What are we going to
We'd
do?
like to do trivia, so we're going to got some trivia. We have a lot of trivia, I think. Got to mention some Father's Day songs. We're going to talk about Bob Welch and not maybe why, but why he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A little thing about the Beach Boys. Mark's got a record set he'd like to talk about. I think there's some film footage of a three-piece band with Daniel Lanois or something assorted like that.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the old, actually not the old, it isn't old, but the Dr. Demento show. It's a radio show. Interesting radio show that started a while back. And interesting fella. And that's it.
All
That's
right.
it. So, I get a froggy throat.
Well, some of the trivia I have is just I got some samples of music and some pictures of some rock stars when they were young kids. So, you know what I mean? For the listeners out there, we'll talk about it. But what's this? Who is this, guys?
Ozzy Osbourne.
I'll go with that.
That is Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah. I knew that mug.
That is Ozzy Osbourne. Yep. All right, here's another one right away.
Ray Davies.
I'm going to go with Dave Davies.
Mark's right on. That's Dave Davis.
Dave's got a very unique.
That's
If
funny.
it was Ray, he would have more of a grin like the Joker.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I have another one. Who is this guy?
Ringo.
Paul Westerberg.
I think it's Ringo. Yeah. Yep.
Is it Ringo?
That is Ringo. That's young Ringo. Yeah.
Really?
Damn, I'm doing it.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible at this.
Uh-oh. I hope if I click the wrong button, I'm going to stop it. Who is that?
Lita Ford or...
Believe it or not, that's a boy.
Wayne Newton.
Axl Rose?
How about a
In a
hint?
big band in the 90s.
Oh.
I will be bad at this.
That's Billy, what's his name, from the Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan.
Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
Billy
yeah.
Corgan.
Yeah, yep. All right, I have couple of more quick ones. Who is that?
Oh, man. He was a class president.
For sure. I don't know. Come on, give us a hint.
English.
English.
Famous frontman.
It's not Brian Ferry. No.
Robert Plant?
That's Bob Plant. That's young
Bobby
Bob Plant.
Plant.
Yeah.
The Poofadoo hair.
Mark,
Yeah.
good. Mark, you're good at this. Facial
Mark is
recognition.
right on, man. Mark
Yeah,
is
can't you-
kicking ass.
I
Yeah.
could see him saying, is there anybody
Who's
you
this
remember
guy?
that?
John Lydon.
Nope, we covered that already in the past.
Rod Stewart.
That is Rod Stewart. You are right on, man.
I got
Yeah.
one. I got
Yep.
one.
One more clip.
Eric Clapton.
John Lennon.
John Lennon.
Yeah. Okay.
Can tell by the nose.
How come all these English kids have bags under their eyes? You notice that?
I don't know.
There's no sun. It's gloomy over there.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, man. But so I got to tell you that I got a trivia question here. All right, no, here, I have an audio. All right, here's an audio sample trivia question. Can you name this group? It was they're a pretty big group. Any idea?
Black Keys.
That is a Black Keys. That's called Lonely Boy. That was a big hit. Yeah,
It was a big hit.
yeah. Yep.
It was such a big hit that around that Christmas time, some of these companies like UPS were making these like Black Keys like sounded like advertisements.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're
It's like,
right.
I remember
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes you hate the band when they do that.
All right,
Yeah.
here's another sample. Who is it? You'll never get this one.
That's Van Halen.
That's Sinatra.
That's not Sinatra.
That's the Clarence Clearwater Revival.
That's Clarence Clearwater.
Clarence Gatehouse Revival.
All right, here's a couple of other ones.
Oh,
EC.
Sounds like Paul McCartney on bass, doesn't it?
it
Yep.
does. It does. It's lyrical.
I think that's Jamie Oldacre on drums.
Let
What's
It
the name
Rain
of
by
that song
Eric
anyway?
Clapton.
Let It Rain? Is that Let It Rain?
Yeah, Let It
Let It
Rain.
Rain.
Yeah.
I love the break on that song.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Jazzy.
interesting. Comes out of nowhere pretty much,
It does.
right?
It really does. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yep. All right,
Did he write that?
here's another one. Who is this?
John Hyatt, my old
Yeah.
friend.
You got it, yeah. That's from Tiki Bar's Open.
Tiki
That
Bar,
album is so fucking good.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Perry, you got me into
have you
that
heard?
album.
Well, you probably haven't. Jimmy Buffett covered Tiki Bar.
No.
He took all the danger and weird mystery out of that song. And that song's kind of dark,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. But Jimmy Buffett turned into like a steel drum, like a party song.
Of course he did. Yeah.
Hey,
But I
He
mean,
had to island it up. Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad John Hyatt is getting paid for that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you totally misinterpreted that song.
Golf
you
and
know?
Western. Hey, by
right,
the way,
Western, yeah.
just to back up real quick, Let It
Yeah.
Rain, the drummer is Jim Gordon, and the bass player is Steven Stills.
Ah,
Oh
wow.
yeah, I remember
And
we discussed
very
that in a couple episodes back. Yeah.
And he
Jim
does
Gordon
the
was
guitar
good, wasn't
solo. Well, he does the guitar solo on the bridge, the jazzy guitar solo. That's Steven Stills.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Here's a trivia question. At the original Woodstock, 1969, who was the highest paid act at the original Woodstock?
I think the Who.
I agree. I'm going with that.
No. I'm sorry. Sha-na-na were the biggest highest paid act.
Well, I have
Oh, no.
a couple of breakdowns on what they got paid, but it was Jimi Hendrix. He got $18,000.
Right.
18 grand. That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
man.
In
Lot
fact,
of bread.
well, let's see what this says. Here's what they got paid. Creedence got 10 grand, which is compared to it amounts to 79,000 today.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
messed up. Jefferson Airplane 7,500.
Yeah. Yep.
Janis Joplin and the Cosmic Blues Band 75. Was that the cut rate? Was that the?
No, they were just they weren't that well known. Here's another
No,
one.
all these bands were. Well,
Yeah.
Jefferson Airplane. Come on, look at Sly and the Family Stone got 7,500.
Yep.
The Airplane, Janis, the band, Clarence
What'd the band
Clearwater
get
got
paid?
10.
The band got $7,500. Yeah.
Why the fuck did Joan Baez get more money than Sly and the Family
Well,
Stone?
because she's been around longer. She was a folk artist from the early '60s.
Wait,
you know,
look at Blood, Sweat, and Tears. 15 grand.
15 grand. Yeah.
More
You know how
than
much
Joan.
Santana got?
Yeah, I got that coming up, bro.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We
Yeah,
got it
let's
covered.
see.
Yeah.
Let's
Here
check
it
it
is.
out.
Here comes another one.
Here comes a regular. Rabbi Shankar, he got shafted.
He shanked.
Crosby, Stills,
Got
Nash got
shanked.
5 grand.
Wow, that's an insult.
The Who got
Arlo
62.50.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Look at
they
the Who.
settled for that. I'm really shocked that they took that. You'd think that they would demand more.
The Who got less than Canned Heat. The Who got 6,250. Canned Heat got 6,500.
Yeah.
Riding high on Tommy at the time, too.
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young got shafted. They got shanked too.
Well, they just started. Don't forget, that was like one of their first gigs, right?
That's true.
They were,
Was it? Okay,
they were pretty much unknown as far as being in a band together. You know what I mean? I got one more with Mountain got $2,000.
And Tim Harden.
Yeah, the Dead got $2,250.
Wow. So did Country Joe McDonald.
Yeah, got more. 2,500.
Yeah, and
Johnny Winter played.
And I got the bottom of the totem pole is coming up. These guys.
Quill.
Sean and I got $700
for like 20 band members.
But consider Santana was unknown.
Yeah,
they were
really
unknown. Yeah,
that's wow.
John Sebastian got $1,000, and he was just hanging out. I mean, I guess I had to give him $1,000 because he went up on stage. Sweetwater, that was one of those bands that
John Sebastian got $1,000 for calming people down from the bad trips.
Yeah, and going there. Fuck! They closed fucking Route 17.
That was him that said that.
Yeah, Keith Hartley, $500.
Who's that?
And what about Quill? Quill was $375.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sweetwater.
That's a bar gig by today's standards.
Yeah, but yet even that was almost $3,000 in today's dollars. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Yeah. So interesting. That's all the trivia I have. But I thought it was pretty cool what they got paid back then. You know?
Yeah. Joe Cocker got $1,350.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that was the Mad Dogs Englishman tour.
Was it when he was at Woodstock?
I think it was that
he
time
made
frame.
the record. He made the
69.
film and the record too, didn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah, he did. It's one of the most. It's one of the big.
Jim Gordon was his. Jim Keltner and Jim Gordon might have been.
Well, that was one of the most. Yeah, that was one of the most memorable performances from his with a little help. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was some cool stuff. Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. Today's Father's Day. Yeah. And there's always those father songs. Sentimental stuff.
Yeah.
But there's some that aren't. Just a few names. Just a few names.
Please, Daddy, don't get drunk for Christmas.
No. Mark, I don't know if you know this one, Perry. Do you remember the song "Daddy, Don't You Walk So Fast"?
Wayne Newton. Yeah.
Wayne Newton.
Yeah.
One of those. That might be a '74 song. One of those maudlin.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be heartrending.
It's the hook. The hook is everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy, slow down some because you're making me run.
Yeah.
Pops in the horizon.
Got lost.
But there's one by the Descendants called "My Dad Sucks." I didn't listen to any of these.
By who?
The Descendants.
Are they a punk band?
It sound like one. We all know this one. The Harry Chapin song "Cats in the Cradle." It's kind of.
Yeah.
It's a good song, but it's also about, a father that wishes he had maybe spent a little more time of his own investing in his own children.
But it's like I can go a couple more decades without hearing that. I mean,
yeah, me too.
Lot,
it's weird. I've heard "Taxi" a few times in the last year, and that's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Cats in the Cradle. You're like, okay. Who covered that? Who was a modern band that covered that?
They covered what? Cats in the Cradle.
Cats in the Cradle. It was
I think it was
No More
a Smash Mouth, probably.
No. It was a grunge band. It was a '90s grunge band.
Yeah. It was kind of. I think it was
Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah,
they did a ska version.
They did a great version of "Fortunate Son," by the way.
Dropkick Murphys.
Did. Yeah. Okay. The Angry Samoans had a song called "My Old Man's a Fatso." Okay, followed by Frantics. My dad's a fucking alcoholic. Of course,
I think I heard Anthony singing that.
The Temptations had "Papa Was a Rolling Stone." That's an obvious one.
Yeah.
I would put Johnny Cash as a boy named Sue in there because the father, he's a bastard the whole time.
Well, yeah,
and bit off a piece of my ear.
Yeah. Well, my dad lived home when I was 3. Didn't leave much for my mom and me. Yeah.
Right. Or even let's say "Hungry Heart." Had a wife in Baltimore, Jack. I went out for a ride and I never went back.
All right, that's a stretch. Okay.
No, it's about a father who leaves his family.
Wasn't a stretch. He didn't mention children, but still, he went out for smokes and never
had a wife and kids in Baltimore.
Had a wife and kid. Well, yeah, went out for a ride, never. Yeah. Although the song's not about a father, that's kind of a
it's
referencing.
about taking off.
I don't know if Bruce ever reconciled that character in that song.
Yeah, good point.
Everyone's got a hungry heart. Like, yeah.
I mean, David Bowie reconciled Colonel Tom. You know,
there you go.
He's a junkie.
Now the Beach Boys. I just found this out today. I never heard this. They have a song called from '65. I'm bugged at my old man. I sent you guys a video of it. There's original version. It's not like just piano and Brian singing with some backups.
Maybe Brian wrote the words for that too.
Yeah.
Right. Why? It's some of the lyrics are kind of weird. But then there's a modern day version of Brian, and it's a film of Brian in his bathrobe. It's probably around '76 when they did SNL, and Dennis and Carl are at the piano singing with him. But it's a veiled reference to Murray, who was notorious for being an abusive father.
Son of a bitch. That's what he was.
Yeah. Now, I might be saying his name wrong. It's called Sufjan Stevens. Am I saying it right? Or we don't know.
I don't know.
Never heard of him.
He played with Springsteen. There's a song called "That Was the Worst Christmas Ever." I heard it. I'm like, this is just terrible. I don't want to hear it. Genesis had a song called "No Son of Mine."
Oh, that's a tough song for me to listen to.
Yeah.
Very.
Probably the best. It's the best song on the.
And I think it was autobiographical because he didn't have the best relationship with his dad either.
No, there you go. Now on the Beach Boys song, all I heard was piano and some vocals, and in the comment, Tommy Tedesco's son says, "My dad played guitar on it." Okay, I didn't hear any, unless there's more versions of that. Maybe I heard a demo version, but it sounded pretty professional. I mean, they didn't put a whole lot of time into it because it's kind of a joke. But yeah, Mark, do you have anything to add to that? Papa?
Yeah, well, I was thinking, it's Father's Day, and there's some of my favorite fathers with kids, and I like them both.
Yeah.
So I think what tops the list for me would be Eddie Van Halen and Wolfie. I think they had a great relationship. Eddie didn't have a great relationship with a lot of people, but he loved his son. That was a tight relationship.
Well, David Lee Roth claims nepotism got him into the band.
So what?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I mean, I'm Louis on a recording of mine. Is that nepotism?
Nepotism.
It doesn't exist until people hear it, Lou, and we haven't heard it yet. So.
No, why? Because the recording levels are way too high. We're doing this, but it's going to be done proper.
There you go. Digital, you can't push the levels too high.
No, you can't. I listened to the drum track that I said, we had to do it anyway, but it's just like, no, it's just too hot. Anyway.
Rick Wakeman and Adam Wakeman.
Oh,
Adam Wakeman.
Mark, I got a question. Is Wolfie known as a good guy? Does he have a good reputation?
He handles the stinking thinkers that go at him really good.
Yeah, he's David Lee Roth calls him, the punk kid or something.
Does he really?
You know what I mean? They go back and forth.
He's always quick to say, "I still love him," but I think David Lee Roth may have wanted Michael Anthony in the band, and whatever. But how the trolls come out and they just skewer him on social media. He talks right back to them. It doesn't let him bother him. They tell him what to do with his father's legacy. No one can tell him what to do. He does what he wants to do with his father's.
He's not going to lose sleep over it.
No, and the kid can play Eruption exactly like his dad, but he chooses not to play like that. He plays mostly rhythm guitar in his band, so I respect him. Rick Wakeman's son Adam. He's mostly like a hard rock, heavy metal keyboardist. He played with Ozzy, but he did tour with Yes briefly. Here's the famous "He's Not My Son," Bob and Jacob Dylan. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The Wallflowers are still around. I think they played Asheville last year.
Yeah. They're like, I hate to say Matchbox 20, but they're like, you never heard about them after the 90s, but they're still out there.
Yeah, I know.
I have an album by Jimmy Webb's two sons, the Webb brothers.
There you go.
That's right.
Here's a big one. Tim and Jeff Buckley, both taken from this planet way too young.
Yeah.
Another classic, John and Jason Bonham. Jason, of course, has made a name for himself, playing with so many bands. Here's a good one. Bob Marley with Ziggy, Steven, and Damien. They're all pretty talented, and they're all pretty... And he had a lot more kids.
There's also a Skip Marley. I don't know what the relation is.
It's got to be. He had a lot of kids with a lot of women.
He's a comedian, isn't he? Oh, that's Skip Henderson.
It sounds funny, man. Skip Marley.
Funny, man.
Any Beatle kids, of course, right?
That was too obvious. But
yeah.
How about Steve Lukather and Trevor? Trevor is a very good musician, and he's out there. Elvis and Lisa Marie. Here's another one, a no-brainer. Frank Sinatra and Nancy Sinatra. Now, John Lennon and Julian. I'm going to say John Lennon and Julian because I just like Julian. I know Sean is his son too, but I'm saying Julian.
Yeah, I think Julian tried to follow more in John's, more of an inclination to follow in his father's footsteps.
Yeah,
well, he was also he was really the first one to exhibit any talent, right?
And also, right? He remembers, he was in '68. What was he, 5 years old, maybe?
Yeah.
So he wasn't, he wasn't a baby when the Beatles were or broke up. So he, Sean has no memories. Sean was born in '75,
right?
So he's the Beatle legacy. Sean's cool though.
He was makeup after the year away. He was makeup. Hey, my mom was 40 when she had me. Enough said. Johnny Cash and Roseanne Cash.
Yeah.
It's a good relationship.
Yeah.
Nat King Cole, Natalie. Here's the one that I find, when I first heard who her father was, it blew my mind, but Ravi Shankar and Norah Jones.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. And fantastic Norah Jones. And Loudon Wainwright III and Rufus Wainwright, love them both. Loudon, of course, had a great cameo on MASH. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
She got Shishimi, Shishaki, and Kakaki, and Fafafki.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Rufus, I'm a fan of Rufus and
Me too.
Wainwright. And,
Me too.
Yeah.
But who'd you mention before that?
Ravi.
And have you heard Norah Jones' new record?
I heard two songs. And I liked what
really,
I heard.
really soulful. It's really good. Yeah. It's not jazz.
Yeah.
This is actual, really good pop soul. Yep.
She changes with every album, and I kind of I admire everything she does because she really tries it her best.
She's not going to be pigeonholed as that mellow jazz singer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
she has
that chilled
more
everybody out after
qualities than
9/11.
that. You know?
Yeah.
Now her timing was good with that one album.
The first one.
Yeah. Because
FUV, our local listener support station, they're the ones that got me into it. Boy, they championed her. And when I heard Cruel, Cruel Heart, I was like, holy. There's something about her voice. I fell in love with her without seeing her. Just hearing her voice. Sure. It's just a very sultry voice.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got one. Randy Bachman and Tal Bachman.
Yeah. He had a pop hit. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Was it She's So Fine, She's So Lovely? What the name of it? That might be. He's like a one-hit wonder. They had they were on a Beatles show. They had a little Beatles program for a while, but they did they played covers together. But they did like a Beatles song, a couple of things, and they did like a Christmas song. They were good. They were good together. All right.
Oh wait, I got 3 generations.
Go
Hank
for it.
Williams, Hank Williams Jr., and Hank III.
Hank the Third. Yeah.
That's right.
I'll take the bookends. Not
who sounds Hank the grandson sounds like and looks and sounds like his grandfather. Yeah.
Yep. What happened to him?
But he's a punk rocker.
Is he now?
Well, he always was. Yeah.
I love that one album that you gave me of his is really good.
Yeah, I got a tribute to Nebraska. And Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska, and Hank III sings Atlantic City.
That's right.
I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it sounds like his grandfather.
Yeah. Occasionally he does that thing. He brings out the old Gibson jumbo, and he'll sing some Hank Williams songs. But the kid, Bocephus, Hank Jr. never. He was that he followed that outlaw thing. Like, are you ready for the football? Like, okay, dude.
You know what he did? He did the outlaw thing.
All my rowdy friends. That's him.
Yeah. He did the outlaw thing, but he didn't put the poetry that Willie and Waylon put into it.
Right, because he was in Nashville. The outlaw thing doesn't fly in Nashville so much. In Texas it flies, but not in Nashville.
Right. Good friends with the Van Halen brothers. They call me Bocephus. He did. Eddie and Alex were on it.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's a funny mashup of Jump, and it's Jump and Hank Williams Band, but it's Jump in like this Western swing thing.
Yeah, you sent it to me one time.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
Pretty funny. Well, so they were friends. There you go.
Yeah.
Weird.
And I think Eddie Van Halen was in
the Van Halen boys being like into that kind of country music.
It was the partying. That's all it was.
Well, actually, Alex Van Halen had an auction. He sold off 300 items. Alex Van Halen.
Alex
was like drums.
He's retired. He doesn't want to play anymore since his brother died.
Yeah. Doesn't want to play with anyone else.
No, he doesn't want to play at all. So he had these wacky drum sets though.
Yes,
like
he did. With the kick drums, like two and
well,
one
like
in
he
front
had
of the
like
other.
4 kick drums. So like,
Yeah.
what is that for?
Hot for teacher.
It's be crazy. For those who are not watching, if you don't know, Alex Van Halen, he had a double kick set, but he had like 2 bass drums connected together instead of having one long
He also had one where like 3 kick drums were connected together, like some ridiculous, like.
Yeah.
I hope your roadies are well paid to lug this shit around, man.
Right.
Because
Perry, if you look at that, that's nothing compared to Neil Peart. So, but I thought that was
look at that thing.
Yeah, it's got to be for projection and sound and all that stuff.
Well, he had that bottomy kick drum sound, you know.
Yeah, it was very meaty. It was very meaty. His snare drum. He said he goes jokingly in seriousness. He goes, it's all patterned after Bonham. Alex most of the time turned his snare drum. It was pretty tight, which is it kind of helps for bouncing.
Yeah,
for
and that one
rolls
song, "Hot
like
for Teacher," they ripped off ZZ Top. They ripped off the drummer from ZZ Top, right?
Yeah. I mean, in some way,
they ripped the guitar part too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fast boogie. Like if you took that drum beat. Except for the beginning, well, that stuff is kind of wild.
It is ZZ Top, except for the "Have you seen Junior's Great?" Except for the David Lee Roth, whatever it is. Yeah, David Lee Roth.
Lou, what would be the reason for him putting 2 bass drums together? Is it to give it a louder bass drum sound?
I think it's for projection, but it's gimmicky unless there's something. I mean,
it's gimmicky too. It looks cool.
Yeah, well, how long a microphone do you stick in that thing? You need like an extension, but I don't know.
Then he had one where he had a fire extinguisher there because the thing could catch fire. Or something.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that seems gimmicky to me.
It's over the top arena rock. They kind of carried the mammoth, no pun intended, mammoth 70s rockers thing. They were the band that went into the 80s with that. The mammoth stages, everything bigger than normal. Eddie had 100 cabinets on stage. It was an impressive looking stage.
Yeah.
I might have a little clip of some country outlaw music.
That's so funny.
Isn't that punk rock? Like, Nashville punk rock?
A couple days ago, I sent that song to Simon just because it was in my head like an earworm.
I'm going to loop it and just at the end of the show, just keep it going in a loop.
Giddy up. Now, I always thought the guy with the long hair did the bop a mow.
Yeah, me too.
I always thought he was the baritone.
But it was the Wall Street
I don't
Trader.
know, man. But there's Mark's guitar, Lou.
There you go.
Wait, I didn't see it. I didn't see the noodle caster.
Fender noodle caster.
I see it's under construction. It needs the tuning machines.
He needs machine heads on it. Yeah.
I got a gnat in here that's bugging me.
By the way, that song "Earworm" is as bad to me as "The Bird Is the Word." Ever since I saw the Simpsons episode where, where bird. Oh God, no.
What's even worse, the guy with the mustache, the main lead singer, his voice it gets grates on me. Well, that was a huge hit. What was that? 93, 92?
I can't gauge that. I don't know if it was the 80s or the 90s.
That was probably late 80s. Yeah, when all that stuff was happening.
Elvira, that was around the time that Alabama was getting big. It was that pop country.
Alabama. Yeah. They kind of helped destroy country music too. Yeah.
Damn right.
Slick.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Perry, after I left Cordette Color Systems and when I worked in that graphics place in Wayne, that's all they listened to. I worked in this basement part, and it was just that new upcoming country. I'm like,
yeah.
Get me out. Yeah, you have any more earworms to throw at us, Perry?
Bird.
No more earworms. I have one picture though of a funny picture of Mick Jagger standing next to a van, and it's called Keefe and Company. Now, that's pretty funny.
That is funny. The look on his face says everything.
Says it all, right?
Was
Keefe
that during their
Company.
little spat when they were fighting?
No, that's so long ago, man.
And
that's
he
from
proceeded
the 60s.
to piss on the tire. No, that was him. That was the 80s. Look at his face. Bring it up.
That was the 60s, dude.
You think so?
Yeah,
I'm thinking that's the 80s.
Maybe,
He always looked kind of old, didn't he? A lot of weird way.
Yeah, but that hairstyle, that was 80s.
No, I'd say that's the 70s.
I'm going to say 70s.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe by the jacket. Look at this, the fashion.
Yeah.
And the bell bottoms.
And,
no, it says Keefe and Company Film and Television Production.
And his parasol.
He's got hits. He does. I didn't notice the parasol at first.
Or the umbrella. Okay.
Or they also call it a bumbershoot in England. Going to bumper shoot. Got your rubbers?
I got my rubbers. I'm well protected.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is Bob Welch in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as an inductee with Fleetwood Mac?
Well, I got a couple of blurbs about that, and one of them is quite interesting. Fleetwood Mac inducted original incarnation. An argument was made that the band that Bob Welch was part of was not Hall of Fame caliber.
Wow.
So that was the inclination.
That somebody wrote that in 2012.
I
that
could not
it
agree
wasn't
more.
Hall of Fame caliber.
Could not disagree more with that statement.
Yeah.
Don't you think Bob Welch was the conduit to that sound that made him huge? You know?
Yeah.
He got him to move to LA.
And he also said, "I'm the invisible man," Bob Welch once quipped. Shortly after he was weirdly excluded from Fleetwood Mac's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. "I'm the invisible man."
I am the invisible
Well, that's
man.
the AI that did the printing. They didn't spell check it, but yeah.
Despicable
Yeah,
me.
yeah. He was, he was like the Gerald Ford of Fleetwood Mac. He was this transitional
there's
guy
that interim
that,
thing. You're right. Like he's one term, filled in just after. Right. Yeah.
But how many albums did he do with them?
I'm not sure. Let's
I
see.
can tell you in a second.
Welch deserves credit for a lot more than
He
than
did
being
4 or
a
5 albums.
wave paver for Buckingham Nicks, though. Some of his songs he wrote and sang on the 5 albums.
Oh,
5 albums.
Released during his 71 to 74 time with the group. Hypnotized were such FM staples that Lindsey Buckingham was obligated to keep performing them after Welch quit, just as Welch was obligated to play "Oh Well" during the Peter Green time.
Mm-hmm.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Now he didn't
5
write
albums.
every song on every album. In fact, a couple albums he only had a couple songs, but once he joined the band, their sound changed dramatically.
But 5 albums,
So-
and he made 5 albums with them, and they were not. He wasn't permitted to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean,
How many records did Peter Green?
you want to take that one,
make with
Mark?
them?
But Welch remains best remembered for a song that both was and wasn't a Fleetwood Mac tune, "Sentimental Lady." He originally wrote and sang it in 1972 on his second album with Fleetwood Mac, Bare Trees, with fellow Mac member Christine McVie on backing vocals. That version had zero impact, and softness might even have seemed an affront to fans of the band's waning blues sound. But when he re-recorded it as a solo artist in 1977, it zipped to number 8 on the Billboard chart.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when that was just a Bob Welch song, the one that I remember hearing on the radio, that was a hit.
Yeah.
That wasn't Fleetwood Mac, even though Christine McVie sang backup on it or something.
Right. But it's the second version of it. I've heard both. I mean, so
You have, yeah.
So it seems like this is more of a matter of taste, where they figured that was just too commercial and soft rock. Although it was, was at 72.
Mark, you have.
And Bob Welch was a Californian. Was he an American? He was a Californian, wasn't he?
He's American. Yeah. Yep. He
it's a very
he
Southern
brought them
California
over
rock
from
sound.
he brought them over from England to California.
So I prefer the Fleetwood Mac version of "Sentimental Lady" because it's more fragile. It's
Really?
It's dainty song. It's the only way I could. It's
Do you have
really
a sample
beautiful
of it
tune.
with
Yeah, look it up.
It's very
Fleetwood
pretty. It's a
Mac
very
version
pretty
from
song.
Bare Trees?
Yeah, Bare Trees.
So the Bob Welch years aren't the cool years.
I
They
thought
were
they
cool.
were cool.
I mean, like I said, I'm being
albums in there,
sarcastic.
though. I
They were
mean,
cool with
that's-
Peter Green, although they weren't much more popular with Peter Green, were they?
In
their
England,
popularity-
maybe, but not in America.
Yeah, but did their popularity really diminish that much with Bob Welch? I mean, they did 5 albums.
Yeah, I know.
See, it's more acoustic.
Oh, yeah.
You are here and warm,
Oh, yeah.
but I could look away.
Yeah,
And we'll
see?
be gone.
That's
I
a
don't
whole
know. I
different
kind of
sound.
prefer the Bob Welch
Yeah, me
radio
too.
hit version.
I really like that version, but you know, and then I'll just bring up
What
Bob
else did you
Welch's
find
version.
out about him?
Well, I'll bring up the he kind of got screwed in a way, and if he's angry. By the way, this is his. Sounds like a Genesis song.
It does.
There was a different approach, though. Different
Time
intro.
for tea and crumpets.
Great intro.
All of the things that they say are
That's a nice
very
That's a free chorus. Yeah, I liked that. That was really good.
Yeah.
I dug hearing that on the radio, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful song.
Yeah.
So
Great.
it's
Melody. The melodies what grabs me,
And-
you know?
Yeah.
The break part, it's mostly acoustic guitar, 12 string, and then he comes in with a really nice solo.
Yep.
So it
Rest in
seems
peace,
that.
Bob Welch. Rest in peace.
Mm.
So it
Put him
seems that
in. Put him in. Put him in posthumously.
when he was in Fleetwood Mac, they had a contract with Warner Brothers where everything was split equally.
Mm-hmm.
After he was out, Fleetwood Mac renegotiated the contract and he didn't get anything. So he sued them in the 90s. And you know what? The guy didn't have the most successful solo career. Why not give him his royalties for his music, Or
He had two
the-
big
Well, he
yeah,
made
whatever he
5
was
albums
due.
with him, so he's due royalties.
Yeah.
You
They
know?
said the lawsuit was settled in 96, but when you go after Fleetwood Mac or Mick Fleetwood that way, you don't get forgiven. He's kind of tough that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oddly enough, had to declare bankruptcy. So,
yeah.
right?
I thought those albums that he did with Fleetwood Mac were just cool, and they're very relaxed and laid back. Mystery to Me with Hypnotized I love that album. And I think the first album with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham carried over a little of that sound. It's not the same as Rumors. It's got a little bit of that Bob Welch sound.
I remember that Monday Morning. I always liked that song. It was from the Fleetwood Mac album, I think, right?
Yeah.
Monday morning, you sure look fine.
Yep.
That was kind of like that, yeah. I think that was Lindsey on lead vocal, too.
Yeah. That's a That's a typical Lindsey Buckingham song, But there was a song on there called Beautiful Ways or something, and it sounds like a Bob Welch song to me.
Yeah.
And I bet you Christine McVie wrote it, and she was just...
she was more mellow. Yep.
Yeah. And they remained very close friends, I believe. But, oh, no, it's called Warm Ways. Just listen. That sounds a lot like the Peter Green era to me.
And Bob Welch.
Now, I don't want to play too much of it because this is kind of like playing Rolling Stones. So,
But you mean Bob Welch, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a Bob Welch song to me.
Right. It's kind of,
And that was from the Fleetwood Mac.
A little jazzy and whatever, right?
That's from the first Fleetwood. That's from the first Fleetwood Mac record with Lindsey and Stevie.
Yeah. In fact, if I just kick in a little bit.
Well, yeah. And she also wrote on piano.
I'm waiting for the sun.
See, that's what the albums
get
with
nabbed.
Bob Welch kind of sounded like.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of breezy, very breezy. I know that song. What's that song called again?
Warm Ways.
Warm Ways?
Yeah. Beautiful song.
Yeah.
And he also got them to move to California.
So the idea that he was excluded because he was suing them at the time, does that have any weight to or validity to that decision?
Yeah, it was lawsuits. Yeah, he was in litigation.
So he was in litigation
Warner Brothers
at
and
the
the
time.
band. Yeah.
Right. And Warner Brothers didn't consider it. What was the rationale again? They
Well, they settled. They did settle. What happened was Fleetwood Mac renegotiated their deal with Warner Brothers after Bob Welch was gone. So was it Mick Fleetwood? Somebody decided we're cutting Bob Welch out.
Right.
Who was it?
Yeah, and then also, and they didn't consider the music worthy of the caliber.
Yeah. And also, how much time was there when Bob Welch left till Lindsey and Stevie came into the picture? What was that gap? Does anyone know?
His last album with them was in 74, and the first album with Lindsey came out in 75. I know that they were in, what's that studio that Dave Grohl bought the equipment?
Sunset Sound.
They were there, and Lindsey was working there, right? As they were working, him and Stevie were working for the owners.
They were working on the Buckingham Nicks.
Yeah. They were actually employees of the studio too. They had no money, and Fleetwood Mac were going nowhere, and so boom, they got together with I think they hired Lindsey, and he said, "I'll only come if you take my girlfriend."
Well, yeah, but we heard the story about how Mick Fleetwood happened to be in the studio, and he heard Buckingham Nicks playing in the next studio, and says, "Wow, that's really good," and
I mean, they've always lucked out that they got the right guy in the band when everything didn't look good, right? 3 times that happened.
And if they hadn't taken her, what would have happened? Nothing.
Yeah.
Probably.
You wouldn't have had her songs.
If they hadn't taken Lindsay, there would be no Rumors, no Tusk, no.
Well, if
know
they'd
what?
taken Lindsay, not Stevie, though, I think it would be.
You wouldn't have had the tension that created Rumors because you had Lindsay and Stevie broken up. You had John and Christine broken up. So you had two, and then you had Mick screwing around with Stevie.
Sounds like a VH1 special.
So it created this tension that created that album. So yeah, I don't think there would have been a Rumors without Stevie, just because of that one less person making that tension. And you wouldn't have a witch in your band. You gotta have a witch.
You got to have a witch.
Yeah.
Got to have a Welsh witch. Yeah.
Sorry, I think that's what makes her cool.
Okay. So, Mark, you want to talk some about the Beach Boys? And it's funny that you mentioned it because as we were talking about Fleetwood Mac, my friend of mine's at the Beach Boys concert and sent the movie. And she said this is oddly good.
They're putting on a good show. That's good to know.
Now, can we do that? I wonder if we can do this.
That's from the concert right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't sound that bad.
But those guys who were in the band, they were Brian Wilson's backup band. You know what I mean? And
Gotcha.
they knew every single nuance of every single Beach Boys song. They performed Smile with Brian Wilson, that band, and they performed Pet Sounds with Brian Wilson also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a
right.
ton of singers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
They all
but
sing.
it's Mike Love and Al Jardine are there. I can see Mike Love on the video.
Mike Love, I think he just mouths it. I don't think he sings anything anymore.
Yeah, no, he's going along with it. But you know what I mean. If he stopped singing, I don't think he would notice at this point.
If anyone still has a voice, I could see him having a voice because he never pushed it that hard. He was always kind of like,
he could probably still do it. I mean, does Al Jardine sing "Sloop John B" or "Help Me Rhonda" still?
Might be
Those were his
in a
features,
lower
I
key,
think.
probably.
Yeah.
with 30,000 backup singers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my son, he gifted me this box set. It's called Feel Flows. I didn't know about this, and it's the Sunflower album and the Surf's Up album. And each one gets like 3 CDs because there's bonus tracks, demos, live recordings, and really good. I'm woefully ignorant of this period of the Beach Boys, and even though you guys have talked to me about it, and my son-in-law Tekenna drilled it into me, and I got into the Holland album, this is really the first time I'm hearing Surf's Up. I listened to it on Spotify a few times, but never really listened. Surf's Up is a really good album, and it has the song that the end of what was the movie that Cameron Crowe wrote? Almost Famous. On the outro, when they're doing the credits, there was a Beach Boys song, which I never knew what it was. Well, it's the song Feel Flows, because I'm listening to it.
Oh,
like,
okay.
holy shit, that's the song. So really quality. I mean, it's got 5 discs in it with a book, and it just talks all about the albums in this period of the band, which I guess has been forgotten by a lot of people.
Yeah, it's post surf music. It's post Pet Sounds and Heroes and Villains. It's that era after that where it's kind of it's murky. That was after the heyday, really.
Yeah. And Sunflower didn't Sunflower really bombed? Didn't
probably.
do good.
So which album came first?
Sunflower.
Okay. Well, what are
That
some
was
songs
done-
on it?
So Sunflower, by the way, both albums were recorded in Brian Wilson's home studio. Sunflower was on 8-track. By the time they did Surf's Up, they got a 16-track. So
8-track.
less bouncing down.
Was it recorded in the sandbox?
I do hear like you got the Sanders. So let's see. On Sunflower, you have Slip On Through, This Whole World, Add Some Music to Your Day, Got to Know the Woman, Deirdre, It's About Time, Tears in the Morning, All I Want to Do, Forever, Our Sweet Love, At My Window, and Cool, Cool Water.
I think I know 2 songs off that.
Yeah. Now, it ends with Cool, Cool Water. Surf's Up begins with Don't Go Near the Water. Long Promised Road, Take a Load Off Your Feet, Disney Girls, which I really liked, Student Demonstration Time, which was the rewriting of Riot and Cell Block 9. Like, they gave Lieber and Stoller
Cool
credit.
Cool
for that.
Water a cover of that country western song?
You know, I don't know.
Cool Water.
Feel Flows, is a song from Almost Famous, Looking at Tomorrow and Day in the Life of a Tree, Till I Die, and Surf's Up. I found Surf's Up had some really heartfelt ballads, kind of like Dennis Wilson's solo album that has some really beautiful ballads. So,
what was the song about the trees? That's probably an Al Jardine song.
A Day in the Life of a Tree.
He was the ecologist of the band.
Yeah, there's that song on Holland where he narrates. He goes, "I have seen fires come over the ridge."
Bring back the surf music.
I really
deep.
My problem is I always liked the Beach Boys in the '60s. Even when I was a kid, I loved. I had the big compilation that came out in the '70s. Then when the first time I heard
some of that rock and roll music,
but the first time I heard this era, I didn't like it because I said they didn't sound like they were good for surf music and like what you said, they were getting away from surf music, but they still had the melodies.
And also, if you notice, Brian's diminished role after that.
Yeah.
So this is period. Carl's kind of leading the band. But I think there are albums like Friends and stuff. There's some really nice stuff on there.
There is, yeah. In fact, I have a copy of that at the insistence by Mark's son-in-law, Tekena. We saw him at the laundry one day with Tekena and his wife Romina, and he said to me, "Have you ever heard the Beach Boys' Friends?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Well, you should check it out," and I did, and it's a really cool record.
It's a cool record. Yeah, it's a good pop. I think Hal Blaine is on that.
There's a lot of a lot of weird stuff on these records. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like when they have like 1 minute songs, and you know what I mean. A minute and a half song, an idea here and an idea there.
When you see Brian Wilson play keyboards, he's not a great keyboard player. If you ever notice, he just. It's funny.
You don't have to be to write them, though.
No, of course not. Of course
not. When you had the Wrecking Crew.
But I think just the fact. But the amazing thing is the fact that he had all that stuff in his head, but he didn't have the hand fluency really to play right. Who were some of the keyboard players that of the Wrecking Crew? Chuck Rainey. No, that's a bass player. You know what I mean?
Larry Knechtel and Don Randy.
Randy. I mean, those guys could play. Nicky Hopkins could play. Brian Wilson, he had this in his head, but having it looked like rudimentary keyboard skills. I've seen him playing live stuff. It's amazing though. But he said someone who met Brian Wilson was an influence said that Brian said goes, when you first start writing the song, you picture the whole thing in your head first. So whenever like Pets or Good Vibrations, Brian started with that idea. It didn't evolve into that idea, which is pretty wild.
Well, what I noticed is these albums were remixed, and when I'm playing, the reason I played Surf's Up first was I love the cover of that album. It's sublime. So I noticed that it had a very, very satisfying bass sound, very deep, came through my subwoofer. Yeah. And I did read that Carol Kay, I don't think she's on the whole album, but she does play on Surf's Up. I don't think she's on Sunflower. I will listen to Sunflower next. But Surf's Up was actually very successful for them. It got to number 20-something, which was huge for them at that time. They needed that hit.
What year was that?
Surf's Up was 71, I believe. Yeah.
Were there any hit songs on that? I don't think. Probably not.
From what I read, Feel Flows, the one from Almost Famous, was kind of a hit. Student Demonstration Time, which was, basically a rewriting of.
What record label is it on? Brothers?
Capitol.
Wow.
Capitol Records release, and Brothers Records. Well, that's this reissue, so, Don't Go Near the Water, according to the booklet, was kind of a hit.
Okay.
And Disney Girls seems to be a big hit with the fans. It's Bruce Johnston.
Yeah.
Never liked the counterculture. He didn't like the hippie thing, so he wrote the song about the great 50s. The squeaky clean. I like Disney Girls. Yeah. And that's
not the Disney Girls direct porn movies.
And there's also they all claim that Bruce Johnston claims he went to the UK and he played Pet Sounds for Paul McCartney. And then Mike Love says, "Well, I was in the UK and I played Pet Sounds for Paul McCartney." Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, somebody's telling the truth, and
I believe Mike. I think Mike.
I believe Bruce Johnston.
I do too.
Yeah.
Why didn't anybody play it for John Lennon?
Al Jardine says, "Well, I played Pet Sounds for Paul McCartney, and he loved it." Okay, Al.
It was probably Carl all along.
Yeah, probably.
My friend who took the video, she typed back to us, "This is oddly good."
Must be noted, who's playing drums?
Oh, I don't know. It's probably
John Stamos. He's with the band.
He's with the. I'm sure there's.
He's a conga player.
There's probably two.
No,
drummers,
he plays drums. He actually plays drums because he toured with them and played drums a few times.
Yeah, on Kokomo, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's actually a pretty good drummer from what I hear.
I'm sure he is. He's probably been playing a long time. You know?
John Stamos is one of these guys that does everything perfect. He looks great. He plays drums. Of course he can play drums because everything John Stamos does is fucking great.
You know who Greg Giraldo is? I saw one of those Comedy Central roast one time, and it was Bob Saget, right, who was on that big hit TV show with John Stamos.
Yeah.
And Greg Giraldo says, "We shouldn't be drilling for oil. We should just go, John Stamos' family pillowcases and wring them out and get the oil out of them."
Oh, greasy Greek? Is that what he's going on about? That's pretty funny. All right, so
hey, when you get a chance, I got a news flash.
You do
that I didn't want to do at the top of the show, but there's a news flash. But you're going to hear an epic groan from Perry when I say this.
Got to have something to do with zebra.
No, zebra. No. So Randy Jackson was on the Nashville affiliate of CBS's morning show this past week, and they're doing their 50th anniversary tour. It's it's their 50th year. He said a new album's coming for their 50th anniversary, which makes me laugh because it takes them like 10 years to do an album because Randy just fiddles with it. So if he can get it done by the time the year's out, that's great. So there's going to be a new Zebra album. People are just clamoring. They're on social media talking about it. Also, the first album is going to be re-released as a double album, but he says for now it's only vinyl. So, hey,
this is random.
That's a news flash, Perry.
That's a news flash. What about REM getting back together, playing?
Go for it.
Playing "Losing My Religion" at the Songwriters Hall of Fame ceremony.
Speaking of congas, Bill Berry played congas in a handshaker.
Yeah, and a rain stick or something. And there's a video out there. Somebody took it with a cell phone, I think, and I'm not sure if it was but it was like, yeah, man. Oh, by the way, there was they did an interview with CBS this morning, right?
Yeah.
And there's they were there for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I like about CBS.
There was one point, Mark had mentioned this to me earlier, and the interviewer had said, do you have any regrets? And Peter Buck was like, well, we broke it up at the same time. We did it at the right time. We did it, and we're done. And Michael Stipe and Mike Mills agreed. And then he asked Bill, "Do you have any regrets?" And Bill Berry says, "Of course I do." And he says, "I feel like I let them down." And he starts crying.
Really?
Bill Berry starts crying, and Michael Stipe puts his arm on his shoulder to comfort him.
Wow!
It was quite emotional. You'll find it out there. I
saw there's things in snippets. I saw the part where they were talking about how they're not. This is not a reformation. That they're not going to get back. They're not doing it again.
No, Michael. In fact, Mike Mills said it would take a comet for us to get back together.
And what did I tell you guys? Yeah. I can arrange that. I can arrange that.
But the point is,
I know God.
The interviewer, because Bill Berry had left a few albums prior to that, and he asked him if he had any regrets, and he broke down crying, saying that I feel like I let them down. And it was great. Michael Stipe put his hand on his shoulder to comfort him. It's like, these guys are just, you know what I mean? And they didn't want to conquer the world like you two. That's a different beast.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They did it in their own way, but that wasn't the intention. It was not about. They were about music, They had star quality. Stipe had he always had an air about him, but that didn't seem like the motivating.
He said,
force.
and Mike Mills said that's the toughest thing that we did was writing songs.
Yeah,
that's the toughest thing. Yeah,
well, there you go.
They were like a brotherhood, like Rush. That they were.
Yeah.
There was not.
There
was no big drama with the band. They weren't fighting all the time.
The interview took place in their rehearsal studio.
Yeah, that's right.
It's still there.
I was
trying. The shit is still there.
Yeah, I know you. That's they're not going to just lock that up. They probably still have access to it.
Of course they do. They have their headquarters is there.
Yeah.
They have offices there. They have their website comes out of there.
I was wondering if that was Bill Berry's old Rogers drum kit.
It probably was. Yeah, that's where the merch comes out of. You know,
it's funny. I think of all of them, Stipe really appreciated Bill Berry.
Yeah.
I read an old interview with Stipe, and when it came out, of course. And he was talking about the people in the band. He goes, what can you say about a drummer without just making them sound like just the drummer? He goes, Bill Berry is one of the most unusual people you will ever meet. It doesn't. And he was really he looked really quiet during the interview parts I saw. He didn't say much. A few comments and stuff.
Well, did you happen to see the Rick Beato interview that Mike Mills for an hour? Mike Mills for an hour, and he was saying that it was pretty much Bill Berry and Mike Mills from Macon, Georgia. And then when they worked their way to Athens, it was Michael Stipe and Peter Buck. Peter Buck working in the record store, keeping the good records for Michael. And Mike Mills said he couldn't stand Bill Berry when he first met. He's like, I don't like this guy, man. Who is this guy? So the first time they got together, they were playing in Mike Mills' basement. And he's like, and a friend told him, I got a drummer coming down. And he's like, what the hell is this guy doing here?
Yeah,
and it was Bill Berry. And he said they became fast friends after that. Yeah.
That's funny. I think they were golf buddies.
Kind of like me showing up at the garage in Westwood when I wasn't from there, like, who's this asshole,
Garfield.
I got to say something about
in my old garage there was no room in that at all except for the little spot where we played. Mark, the whole garage was filled with crap. There was rolled up
rug and a rolled up green rug.
That rug probably fit the whole area of the room. But Perry and I we did it. Was Ann Hufford? Yeah, Ann was there.
I think the first time I came up there was with an old girlfriend.
Yeah. So we were just jamming in a very small space just to see if we could do it, and we did.
I heard you.
That's when I started liking you, Perry, because I didn't like you before that.
Well, that's your problem.
I heard you had a really cool ashtray, Lou.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I've heard about that ashtray.
Oh, by the way, Mike Mills was saying to Rick Beato that when they signed with IRS Records, they wanted no advance. Said, we don't want any advances. We don't want to be told what to do. That's why they took no advances. And when
they didn't have to pay it back either.
They didn't have to pay it back, but nobody's going to tell them what to do. We want complete creative control. When they signed with Warner Brothers, Lenny Waronker and Mo Austin, they had a meeting with them, and they said, listen, we want complete creative control. And they said, you got it,
Oh, they did? Warner Brothers said that too.
Yep. They didn't want anybody coming down telling them what to do. Yeah.
Thank God they didn't sign with Geffen.
Yeah. Or, a certain other band that we talk about a lot that had a hit song, and all the albums after that, record companies were like, we want hits. We want to make your sound radio friendly.
We don't hear a hit. Yeah.
Make a concentrated effort to get on the, that kind of thing. So REM never really had to do that. And they didn't really, it's really their first major label debut, Green on Warner Brothers. I like the record, but I don't like all of it. That was the first record where I didn't like every single song. Yeah. But I realized that I thought with those concessions they felt they had to make, like Orange Crush to me was them trying to be like U2. I thought that was their U2
Mike
song.
Mills said that was just them jamming. And, and it turned into a song. Yeah.
So when that song came out, I was deep into hard rock and heavy metal. All the metalheads I knew loved that song. They all said, Orange Crush is fucking great. They would be blasting it.
I think that song won new REM fans. The one I love from Document was their big top 10 hit. But they still, they were well known. But if you were a fan, you really knew what Document was. Green was the album that for people that might have been like their first time introduction to REM. Orange Crush was that kind of song. Even Stand.
That was on that album.
I didn't like Stand when I first heard it.
Yeah,
I thought this was like stupid pop. And speaking of Bill Berry, in Stand, the wah-wah guitar solo.
Mm-hmm.
When they recorded that, they did the track. Bill Berry goes, I went out to go somewhere. He goes, and Peter Buck had done the guitar solo. So when Bill Berry, he comes back, he goes, when he first heard the guitar solo, he goes, I could not stop laughing. I was on the ground in convulsions laughing just because it struck him just as funny, that weird, cheesy wah-wah solo, but he loved it. But he goes, I just was in hysterics over it. Peter Buck really, how many guitar solos has Peter Buck done in the whole R.E.M. catalog?
That's true. But when they were
that's one thing
signed
I
to Warner
loved.
Brothers, they were starting to do more rock-oriented songs. He had to show up a few guitar solos,
Yeah, but that was a good one, though.
Yeah.
But then I have listened to Green subsequently, and it has grown on me. Songs like the Only Child, the Wrong Child.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of downer songs I don't like, so I don't begrudge anybody that. But
they said
overall,
they had hits that nobody thought would be a hit. Drive, they never thought that would be a hit. Losing My Religion, they didn't think that would be a hit either.
I'm shocked because the first time I heard that before it became a hit, I said, this is going to be massive. Something about it. It hit the right time in the 90s. It was just that perfect
where
time.
their heads were at. They didn't say like, oh, this is a big one. This is a biggie. You know what I mean? They didn't.
That song's mostly unplugged.
Yeah, and he's like,
I don't
that's
think there's any
me in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's, that was the original words he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's electric bass on that and some keyboard, but I don't think there's electric guitar on that. I think
no, they went through there was that period where they didn't have electric guitar on most of their stuff. They went through a very big Drive.
Right, when R.E.M. had Document and when The One I Love became top 10, Rolling Stone interviewed them, and Peter Buck had just bought his mandolin. So the next record, there's mandolin all over it, and then on Out of Time, Peter Holsapple plays the acoustic guitar on Losing My Religion.
Peter Holsapple's all over the record,
from the DBs, and he ended up suing them, didn't he?
Not that I know of.
Yes, I think he sued them over some stuff with Out of Time, because he played on Out of Time as well. And a record I really like Out of Time.
Well, not according to
I even
Mike
like
Mills.
Shiny
He
Happy
said
Persons.
Peter Holsapple played on that, and he didn't say there was nothing negative about it.
No, I thought he at some point pursued monies.
Well, you know what? The guys in
money's
R.E.M. may
owed.
not mind that he did that because they got the money to give him. It was probably a management decision. It wasn't their decision.
Yeah, not like David Bowie playing at the US Festival and, going on a world tour and giving Steve Ray Vaughan $300. Like, what do you think he left for? $300,
He was being picked on by the other guys too, Oh, he can't read music. Oh,
Woodstock.
Yeah. But anyway, the REM,
the album. What's the album with Losing My Religion again?
Out of Time.
Out of Time. So parts of that, including a lot of the bass, was recorded at Bearsville Studios in Woodstock. And I could tell you, if you get that on a really good sound system and you blast it, I hear that vocal room that they recorded the bass in. They used the vocal room. That was one of the few bands that actually used the vocal room for bass guitar. Right. And if you turn it loud, you hear it. And I think the drums on that album may have been recorded in Bearsville.
Well, Mike Mills said that they were not fond. He said, we recorded at a lot of studios later on because we could afford to. Yeah. But he said, that, their time in Bearsville, he said, nothing, Well,
he loved that vocal room because on the album with Drive, he went back and recorded there. Just his bass. That was the only two albums because I think after that,
watch the Rick Beato interview and
he changed too as you get.
I would think a lot of people would want to record at Bearsville just because it was in Woodstock, and if you, look at a lot of the songs that they recorded in Bearsville, like a lot of acoustic stuff,
and heavy metal. Rush recorded there. Ozzy Osbourne recorded there. So my dad worked at Fleet Bank, and this was in the era when you actually had to cash traveler's checks, and had to be the person. So he saw a lot of big people coming into Fleet Bank, cashing traveler's checks. He probably met Geddy Lee and just didn't know it, But yeah, it's cool. If you drive up there, it was up in the mountain, nondescript dirt road, and all around you could walk outside the studio, nobody would see you, so you didn't have to worry about you didn't have to worry about fans casing you out or anything.
I drove by it one time, and in retrospect, I was with a friend. We were looking for it. We just went blind. Now we could find. There's no GPS now.
You're talking about the Performing Arts Center, the place where they have concerts.
No, I'm
Bearsville Theater.
I'm talking the studio.
Oh, you did luck out then, because it's hard to find.
We went out. We drove past it because once I saw a picture of it in one of the band books, I'm like, we drove because I saw it. It was a parking lot. It looked kind of run down.
Yeah, they did that on purpose.
It looked kind of overgrown. Yeah, so I'm like, shit,
Yep.
But
interesting.
It was cool. Yeah. REM. Well, it's. I'm going to watch the whole interview and stuff like that because you don't hear Bill Berry speak much, or there's no real big interviews with him.
Also, as far as that original interview, I got to give kudos to CBS Morning Show. They've had more than a few musicians on their show. For a morning news show, they give great. It's not hurried. It's not fast edited. Yeah. It's almost like just a informative. They want to get the person. I saw Ravi Shankar with Norah Jones on, and it was a great interview. I've seen many musicians. They do a great job.
You'll find it out there. It's a long, like 45 minutes. They did a long form. They sat there for almost an hour talking. Yeah.
I don't know who interviewed them, but he was good. The part I saw about them getting back together, and it's funny because Stipe's almost emotional about it. But he's like, "What do we?" Oh no, Peter Buck. He goes, "Well, I feel like I'd be doing it feel like I have something to prove," and they don't.
Well, Mike Mills said that Peter Buck was even Michael Stipe said it. Peter Buck was like our Paul McCartney. He was the motivator. He always wanted the new record, the new song.
Oh, really? Okay.
He was their Paul McCartney. Yep.
He motivator. He pushed.
And Mike Mills said that. Michael Stipe is a great melodicist, and Michael Stipe says, "I've never been called a melodicist before."
Am I a pianist?
I follow Michael Stipe on Instagram. He's having quite a time. He travels a lot. Mm-hmm. He's just out there going to galleries and art shows and openings. He's
just,
Yes,
he worked hard for it.
Musician,
sure yeah. All right, so Perry, you were saying you got something about Daniel Lanois. I'm getting some feedback here.
Daniel Lanois?
Lanois.
Daniel Lanois, yeah. Everyone knows who he is, right? Musician, songwriter, producer, right?
Has made many landmark albums for artists that needed that comeback.
Yeah, U2, Neil Young,
Dylan.
Bob Dylan, yep. Well, anyway, he's a great musician himself. And here's a couple of clips of him playing with his three-piece band. You hear a little bit of Peter Gabriel. You hear a little bit of Neil Young. You hear a little bit of The Edge. You hear a little bit of everything with them. They all learn from each other.
Yeah.
Right?
First thing I thought was Peter Gabriel's rhythmic stuff for some reason.
Yeah. I like he's got the bass drum has a towel on it.
Yeah.
It's a three-piece band.
His vocals actually sound like Peter Gabriel.
Maybe it's a Peter Gabriel song.
There was a little delay on that. It was hard to kind of hit. The drums seemed a little out of sync. Maybe it was just the audio.
I wonder if that was Manu Katché, the guy that played with Peter
Gabriel.
That
is not Manu Katché.
No. He had that sound, that don't.
Very, very tribal Tom.
But you'll see that Daniel Lanois he's a great guitar player. Watch. That's a 53 Les Paul Gold Top. See, he's got a P90, right? But look at the bridge pickup. It's a mini humbucker from an old Gibson Firebird.
Something Neil Young would do.
With the Bigsby. Yeah, see, you hear a little bit of Neil Young in there, right?
And he's bopping like Neil Young.
Yeah. And he has, on a guitar, on that Les Paul, he has Gretsch. He put Gretsch knobs on it. You hear a little bit of the Edge, too,
like the Edge.
Right? Yeah.
Robbie Robertson?
Absolutely, yes. Robbie Robertson. Yeah.
He feeds off the musicians that he produces. He gets influenced by.
They all learn from each other.
And
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Robbie Robertson and all those guys had learned a lot from Daniel Lanois as well, right?
I've never really heard him do any of his own music, or I have heard.
He's actually got quite a good voice. Well, let's hear one more, then we'll talk about it. Yeah, that's a 53 Les Paul. I like that bass too. It's one of those like Gibson, whatever they're called. You know what I mean?
You know what? When this was recorded,
I don't know
recent?
when it is. I don't know.
I think it is. That's the way he looks now.
He's the band leader, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's older. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wonder where that was.
And I like the fact that the cymbals are not mic'd. You don't need to hear the cymbal. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to hear it crashing.
Well, I mean,
well, Lou knows I hate cymbals. You know.
Well, if he did, yeah. Well, he was doing it. It just wasn't excessive.
Right. There's no need to hit it like Dave Grohl would hit it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was nice.
Daniel
Lanois, where was that? Where was that show from?
I'm not sure. It was in a small place, probably.
Remember back in the day, before dollar stores got corporatized, and you actually had mom and pop dollar stores, and they would grab up CDs from somewhere, you know. So I was in a dollar store once, and I saw a Daniel Lanois solo CD, and I bought it. Obviously, you know, if they pressed too many and they didn't sell as good, they offloaded them.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. It's a great album. The thing I didn't like about it, on that album, he chose to use more drum machines than drummer. So that kind of bothered me, but I've gotten used to drum machines a little more, but it kind of hit me the wrong way. But
yeah.
Good compositions.
Well, I've seen a tour of his studio. His house is somewhere in Southern California or what, and I mean,
it's LA,
amazing.
Right?
He did a tour. He gave a tour of this of his studio. He's got analog machines. He's got everything. You know, his favorite amp is his Vox AC 30.
Beetle amp.
It might be a 15. I'm not sure. Might be a Vox AC 15. I'm not sure. But he loves that stuff. This guy is everything. His music is everything with this guy. He's always creating music. Yeah. He just can't help it.
The Edge is a user of Vox amps too.
Yeah.
That was one of his big things too.
Yeah.
The Beatles.
British amplifiers. Yeah. Yep.
In fact, in my simulator, I use a Vox with my Gretsch. Seems to work. It gives an airy sound, like that sound he had some distortion, but there was air in that sound.
Yeah.
It kind of floats.
It can breathe.
Yes, it does. It's atmospheric and how he's playing it.
Well, that's a good point. Atmosphere is a lot to, he and Brian Eno did so many things together, and they've learned from each other, Brian Eno and Daniel Lanois. I mean, they co-produced some of these U2 records, right?
Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they made records together with, they made a record like Apollo, where it's just like, this atmospheric music, Sling Blade. Daniel Lanois did the background music for Sling Blade.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yep.
Did he write the piece called Friend Frappadators?
No.
Did he write this piece? Boom, bum, 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 bum.
No.
Get off of my porch. Get out.
No, I think he wrote this one.
It's so bad.
Yeah, I think Daniel Lanois wrote that. Yeah.
Don't you like
it? Peter
Put a
Gabriel
saddle on her. I mean, Elvira, giddy up. I mean, my God.
I love the choreography when they show the band, all the singers, they all lean in at the same time. Giddy up.
Well, apparently the controversy was they fired the hippie.
They fired the long-haired dude, the bearded guy.
But he sued them though. There was something going on where there was some issue, big controversy. But anyway, but I was always misled. I always thought he was the bass singer.
Me too. Makes sense, right?
When you said you
would assume it just by the way he looks.
Stockbroker,
right? Yeah.
The stockbroker.
Look like a game show host. Like
to me, it looks like, hey, buy high, sell low. Buy high, sell low.
Green
buy
is
low,
good.
sell
Green
high.
works.
There it is.
Noodle.
No.
There's my guitar. I'm going to sue you. You're showing my guitar.
It's a noodle caster.
It doesn't even have strings on it. That's a real noodle caster.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to buy some.
I want a trademark on that.
You're going to have to buy some tuners. Well, Jerry Garcia's guitar is a Fender noodle caster, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's that guy. Who's the guy that plays with him now? John
Mayer.
John Mayer. He plays a noodle caster.
And Mark, the Grovers for those are called the Grover Noodlers.
It's a pasta company.
All right, so we're done with trivia.
Yeah,
we're at an hour and almost hour and 15 minutes.
Well, okay.
That's one
Music
Grateful Dead
relish
song.
Fun.
Yeah.
Music relish fun. So I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Dr. Demento show?
Of course.
Never.
have.
I mean, I've heard about it.
You've heard
Never heard it. Yeah.
But you,
I
but
used
you
to
heard
listen.
it. But you heard it way back. I remember hearing that in the late 70s from somebody
Yeah.
saying there was some song some girl was singing. I heard on Dr. Demento. Like I didn't know what it was, and so I heard something recently. I forgot what it was. Maybe one of our past shows where it was mentioned like this was featured on the Dr. Demento show. It was that Fish Heads tune. That
Yeah.
Fish
You're
Heads
obsessed
video.
with novelty songs. Yeah.
Yeah, lately, yeah. I write them.
Lately, all the time.
But there was that band Barnes and Barnes that did Fish Heads. It was on MTV, but it was also Dr. Demento featured this song a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was also at that time, it was the 70s too. Like I always put Dr. Demento. I don't know what radio station.
So
it was
who
on.
is this? This is a radio guy because I never heard.
Yes,
the
he
radio
was. He was
show.
a radio guy, but he was carried by the Westwood One network. He went national, but I always looked at him like up there with Uncle Floyd, a New Jersey boy. What's that?
I think he was on a FM rock station in New York, right? If
I
I'm
think
not
maybe
mistaken.
it was
terrestrial
NEW.
radio.
It was probably NEW at some
Late
point.
Sunday night.
nights.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Terrestrial radio, not satellite radio.
No. This is This is the 70s. Yeah. Maybe they'd alternate with Dr. Demento or the King Biscuit Flower Hour, which was I always loved doing that.
Yeah.
King Biscuit.
But Dr.
Just like the
Demento
Levi's
is where I first heard "To Come and to Take Me Away." That's I heard it because of Dr.
all right.
Demento.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
he novelty songs. He had this thing with Weird Al Yankovic, right?
Yeah,
And
it was all kinds of, but not he had a thing for novelty, but it was comedy. It was also other things because I listened to one of his shows. Actually, the show I listened to today was from the week of June 16th, which is where we're at today, in '86. So he was playing everything from Sinatra, the Mothers, some funny stuff. A lot of arcane stuff.
The Frank Zappa thing.
I think it was the Mothers of Invention.
Yeah, he played them.
But he also plays a lot of Zappa. So anyway, he's still alive. He's like 81, 82 years old. His name's Barrett Eugene Hansen. He's 83. So he was a broadcaster, a record collector. He specialized in novelty, comedy. He was a record collector. So anything from the advent of the phonograph to the present day, he was up on. He had a master's degree in ethnomusicology, which they liken it to almost a holistic approach to music where it takes into fact cultural, whether music's from the cultural issues, cognitive. It's it's hard to explain unless you read about it, but it's not just listening to music. It's absorbing the areas around it and the psychological thought, all this stuff, like why Anton LaVey considered certain music to be satanic when you wouldn't think so. Like a song like, "Yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today." Anton LaVey considered that satanic music. So that's the kind of attitude toward music like that, where it sounds like novelty, but it's not.
So
for example,
where is this guy from?
He was from like Minnesota.
He's a Midwesterner, northern Midwesterner.
He's a Midwesterner. So he got into radio. So he was in Pasadena, California, at WKPPC FM in Pasadena. It was 1970, and he played this novelty song called "Transfusion" by an artist named Nervous Norvis. It's called Transfusion. It's about not driving like an asshole. So I listened to the song, and it's kind of funny. I mean, it was considered bizarre for the time. I think it was from the 60s.
Want to hear a clip of it?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's called Transfusion by Nervous Norvis.
79. I'm a twin pipe papa and I'm feeling fine. Hey man, dig that. Was that a red stop sign? Transfusion. I'm just a solid mess of contusions. Never.
So it's about running stop signs, like crowding people in the lane, which is that's a big thing around here. But it was a goofy song. It was considered kind of garbage. But there was a DJ that worked at the same station called DJ the Obscene Stephen Clean, and he said you got to be demented in order to play that. That's how the name stuck. That's how he changed it to Dr. Demento. So that became his handle, his stage name. So he went into syndication in 1974 by the Westwood One radio network, and he was on FM 92 broadcast syndicate. The syndicate was broadcast until 2010, but there's a weekly online version. So I don't know if it's on Spotify so it looks like he's still doing it.
Probably.
But what he did, he brought things to attention. Weird music, like Perry mentioned, Weird Al Yankovic. Maybe without if not for Dr. Demento, maybe little Weird Al wouldn't have gotten the start he did when he did. This stuff was national. And if people, if you like Monty Python, American people would like Dr. Demento, Uncle Floyd, because and even Joe Franklin. It's like about old-fashioned show business as well. But he brought people like Spike Jones, Jimmy Durante, remember him? Nervous Norvis, of course. Alan Sherman. Unfortunately, Ray Stevens. I guess he liked playing a lot of Ray Stevens.
Alan Sherman, is that the Hello Mudder, Hello Fodder?
No, that's someone else.
You sure?
A guy named Stan Freberg who did Stan Freberg was a puppeteer and actor. He did a lot of TV commercials. Yeah. He did a Prince spaghetti commercial. That's it. It's dance time with Prince, and Prince tried to sue him and lost. He withdrew the lawsuit. So Harry McClintock, who wrote the Big Rock Candy Mountain, that was in Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Big Rock
Dusty Mountain. Warren, who was a woman that Mark, do you have a sample of Dusty Warren?
Yeah, I finally know the intro music for Randy Rhoads' show.
She's considered helping start the sexual revolution, where she was singing about women. She was singing about her boobs and just stick them up straight, but she would like make fun of men in her audience in her live show. She was pretty funny stuff, but she's kind of an icon, almost like a feminist icon, actually.
Yeah, let's give a quick listen.
So this quick listen to Knockers Up.
There, darling. Rock with your shoulders round about. Throw your knockers up and out. Up, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3. Oh, come on, girls. You're looking wonderful. This will go through you and be very, very vibrant. Give it a try, ladies. Come on, there.
Sound like
Throw
Jerry
your
Lewis.
shoulders back. Get your knockers up, 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 up.
Talking about throwing knockers around.
Yeah. I mean, she had another song called Bounce Your Boobies. So it's basically telling women to be proud of their bodies, But I like the fact she would say funny things about little men in the audience.
Can you talk about this song?
Bounce your boobies, get into the swing.
Yeah.
Bounce your boobies, the swing is everything. Makes no difference if they're big or small. As long as you give him your all.
Now, that was in the 60s she was singing it. Or 50s.
Oh, okay. So I mean, kind of funny stuff. Do you guys remember a song called "Shaving Cream" that was a hit in the mid-70s?
No.
Shaving cream, gee, I feel clean. Shave every day and you'll always feel clean. It's like the one line goes, "Our baby fell out of the window. It died from a terrible fit. Each time I say, darling, I love you, she tells me that I'm full of shaving cream." It's novelty. It's crap, But it made this, I remember in the mid-70s, I'm like, this is getting some airplay. Yeah. Perry, you were right. Alan Sherman was a guy that said, "Hello, Mudda, hello, Fada.
Hello, Mudda, hello, Fada.
Here I am at Camp Granada."
Yeah.
No, check this out. On the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, what do you think that song placed? Take a guess.
99.
Mark?
24.
Number 2 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100.
Wow. Here we go.
What year?
That was like 61, 63 maybe?
What? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other song.
No.
This one, yeah.
You thought Shaving Cream, no.
Wow. We didn't play the vocals, but everyone knows it from that.
Hello,
That's
Mudda.
another ear.
Now, Ford could have done a commercial going, "Hello, Mudda, hello, Fada. I'm going to drive a Ford Granada." Billy Joel's sax player was called Richie Canada. So in the U.S. cash box,
go, Yamada.
Yeah, really. Well, that's a Father's Day song. He misses his father.
So you can work Jake LaMotta. You can work Jake LaMotta.
Jake LaMotta. I once had a fight with Jake LaMotta.
He had a song called "Return to Camp Granada."
Oh God.
Kind of like the twist, right? Doing it over.
No, I think the Return was not a Billboard Hot 100 number 2 or a U.S. cash box. It was number 1 U.S. cash box top 100.
So these are all the kind of things that Dr. Demento played on his show. Right?
And these are also artists that he helped push and were on more than one time.
He was also his show is where I first at 11 years old heard a Frank Sinatra song because he would play standards. Yeah. And I never heard Frank Sinatra before. I'm like, I'm listening to this. It's good.
Interesting. That's kind of funny, Mark. You listened to it. I never listened to the show until
Me neither.
recently.
I didn't know it wasn't in my area or whatever.
You know, the reason I listened
it was national. It was on New York radio. We just
yeah. I just didn't care about it, I guess.
Me neither.
with
Me neither.
me-
I heard people talk about it.
Mark, you're telling me the first time you ever heard Frank Sinatra was on the Dr. Demento
Yeah,
show?
probably. All right, so
Really?
his songs were slightly subversive, but not outright, So I found it. I'm a kid, and I'm listening on terrestrial radio, like, in my bedroom, and I'm hearing him play these wacky songs, even the Weird Al Yankovic stuff. And I'm like, some of it was funny. Some of it was so far out that you went, oh, my God, but I still liked it. It was just so wild, the stuff he was playing.
Right. There's an expression from the cartoons. You remember this one? I'm feeling mighty low.
Yeah.
That was from a guy named Candy Candido. It was just one of his taglines. So all this stuff from that show.
I think I saw Bugs Bunny say that.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was used by Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And like, remember when the cigar blows up in someone's face or something? Or you get hit by the anvil?
Mighty low.
Yeah, I say it all the time. I never knew where it came from. So this is what's cool about this type of show, because there's so much going on, and on the surface it seems kitschy, and it is, but a lot of this stuff seeps into our lexicon and our own culture. There's a guy named Tom Lehrer he had these novelty songs called "The Poisoning Pigeons in the Park." Stuff's pretty funny. The guy claims to have invented the Jello shot in like the 50s when he was in the army trying to skirt alcohol laws. So the guy died at like age of 98, but he was claiming to invent the Jello shot. These are these eccentric people that occupy entertainment. Weird Al being one. I mean, like, he's a guy that never caught on with me. But so also, well.
Sorry, I found a Dr. Demento playlist on Spotify.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
The guy Tom Lehrer that did the poisoning pigeons in the park and invented the Jello shot. The guy was a mathematician. He taught at MIT, Harvard. These guys they're so bizarre.
Yeah.
So the show itself, it was on KPCC in Pasadena. Then it was on KMET in LA. It became a 2-hour live show. But his tagline when he started the show was 2 hours of mad music and crazy comedy from out of the archives and off the wall. So even some of the stuff that Bill Kelly does and did on WFMU, you hear some of these same material. It's just weird stuff and stuff that's not so weird. I mean,
so it was a weekly
Zappa's
show.
A mainstream artist, whether you like it or not.
It was a weekly show. It wasn't a daily show.
No, it
right?
was a weekly show. So
yeah,
but the one I saw was from it's neat because I just coincidentally popped on. It was from the week we're in here, only in 1986.
Kind of like the Music Relish show, weekly show.
Yeah, a weekly show.
Except
we're syndicated nationally.
Except
KRAP.
Oh, don't say it.
He also Mark.
He reminds me of. I loved. He was fascinated with this kind of music, and you related it to Anton LaVey, which I want to question you about in a second. But he's to music what Svengoolie is to film. Svengoolie is a student of horror films.
Yeah,
these guys love their stuff, and they talk about it, and they're a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. They might call them was it a pedant or something, or someone who has this encyclopedic knowledge of this particular niche thing.
and Svengoolie is like 80, and he's still doing it too.
That's a
every
good
Saturday
connection
night.
because those B and C horror movies are kind of like novelty songs.
Yeah,
they're almost in the same category.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He promoted short films too. I watched a couple. The Fish Heads with Barnes and Barnes. That was Bill Mumy from Lost in Space, and Robert Hamer, who has since passed on. He did things like that. There's one called Dead Puppies. Go to YouTube and watch it. It's called Dead Puppies.
No, I won't.
No, it's aren't any fun. What the guy did, he took photos of puppies sleeping and made them look dead. So there's a Dr. Demento 20th anniversary show that was at a theater, and Uncle Floyd was there, but the guy that did Dead Puppies does this huge production number of that particular song. It's hysterical. It's great. So it's what else we got here?
Kind of like the cat juggling and jerk.
Yeah. Do you remember the name Kip Addotta?
Yeah. Comedian.
Stand-up comedian. He had one called Wet Dream, which I thought was pretty lame.
He was a comedian way back when, never really made it big.
Yeah, he never made it big. Funny, man. Kip Addotta, a third comedian on the bill for the concert.
From there was some game show like Let's Make a Laugh, or some where the comedians had to try and break the contestants up.
Right. There was another video I saw which reminded me this was the video that this girl that I knew from high school was talking about on Monday morning, and she said, I saw this on Dr. Demento. It was called Kinko the Clown. I'm Kinko the Clown. One of these things.
Oh.
But I remember that. I couldn't remember when I was thinking about Dr. Demento. I'm like, what was, I don't remember the girl's name either, by the way. I'm like, what was this girl saying? What was she saying that, she got to hear this thing, got to hear this thing. So it was Kinko the Clown from Dr. Demento. So here we are 45 years later and talking about it. He also brought these other artists into the awareness of some people. Judy Tenuta, Emo Phillips, the comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Davis, known as Richard Cheese or Dick Cheese. He's the guy that does these lounge versions.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like before Paul Anka was trying to do this stuff. He was doing it tongue in cheek.
Judy Tenuta, by the way, Judy Tenuta claims that Roseanne stole her act.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So didn't
Well,
Judy
she was
Tenuta-
doing it
wasn't
She
before
was
Roseanne.
around before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was great.
I thought she had didn't she wear like bowls of fruit on her head? Judy
No, that was
Tenuta.
Gallagher.
Something like that.
She-
Rest
didn't
in
Car-
peace,
Didn't
Judy.
Carmen
Rest in
Miranda
peace.
do that before her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Demento was on the Gong Show, and he's a celebrity. So some honors he has: he's in the Comedy Music Hall of Fame as of 2005, and the National Radio Hall of Fame as of 2009. And other artists he's featured on the show have been Zappa, Spinal Tap visited. They actually visited the Dr. Demento show. Screaming Jay Hawkins and Mel Brooks came on his show for an interview.
Anthrax were on his show too.
Were they really? That's so
Yeah,
cool.
they
I guess it's like Joe Franklin in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, you might see like Blue Oyster Cult might have been on Joe Franklin.
And Uncle Floyd, too.
Sugar. Uncle Floyd. Well, that's the whole thing I remember too. And Uncle Floyd performed at his 20th anniversary show.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, Uncle Floyd's another guy. They're musicologists. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
They know everything from old ragtime all the way up to jazz and rock and everything else. And
well, Uncle Floyd has a weekly radio show too, and it's called like a, yard sale radio or garage sale radio or something like that, where you find all these old records. And
where can you listen to that, Perry? Is it on terrestrial radio? Or...
I listened to it on I think it was the only radio station I listened to on terrestrial radio is WFMU. That's the only one I listen to. Yeah.
Interesting.
I have it on the app.
WFMU.
Yeah. I have the app on my phone. It's a free app. You can listen to the station at any time.
You can listen to WFMU worldwide, and it's a great station.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
you
a
can.
free app. Yeah.
I actually go back sometimes. I go back to the teenage Bill Kelly Teenage Wasteland Archives just to hear him do. He does the original when Teenage Wasteland was on. He played it for the first time. He's like, #1 after 1 week, Leo Kennedy and the Sharks with Teenage Wasteland. It's all been downhill from there. All right. It's like Uncle Floyd. That's like the Dr. Demento show, Perry.
Here we go.
Who's this? Spike Jones?
Is it shaving cream?
I like bananas.
Oh. How about this?
Sounds like Django Reinhardt.
Peaches, they are full of stones. I like bananas because they have no bones.
Yeah.
Don't give me tomatoes.
Lou, here's your song.
I have a sad story to tell you. It may hurt your feelings a bit.
This was a hit.
Last night when I walked into my bathroom, I stepped in a big pile of shaving cream.
So would they consider like would
Dominic
he have,
the Donkey.
Would Dr. Demento have played like Hot Rod Lincoln?
He might have.
Captain. What was his name?
Perry.
Captain Fantastic and his Lost Planet Airman.
Yeah, of course. And I looked at, he might not play Deep Purple, but the one show I watched, they were actually showing clips, photos of his set list, and it was not unlike something you might have seen on the old Bill Kelly show. There was weird shit. There was some rock. I mean, Zappa's on there playing noodling guitar.
Yeah,
and like Mark heard Sinatra. I mean, it's nothing too mainstream, I guess like that. But yeah, so
he wasn't going to play the biggest hit if he played Sinatra.
No, of course
it'll be a song that he personally connected to for some
Yeah.
reason. It helped him explain something,
Yep. So he's still kicking, Dr. Demento.
Dr. Pimento. Yeah.
Dr.
And
Pimento.
if any of our listeners have Spotify, look up Dr. Demento favorites. It's a playlist. It's 7 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the show was actually in syndication from '74 and in some kind of continuity all throughout.
Yeah.
I wish I might not have appreciated back then, just, some of the novelty stuff, but, now I love this shit.
Yeah, me too.
But it's like, like what's that other thing? Garrison Keillor, his show, these long running radio shows that, you'll hear something you might not normally hear.
Yeah.
We used to produce a CPI. We produced Lake Wobegon Days for the Garrison Keillor for NPR. And it was very labor intensive. It was 4 cassettes in a box.
He's from the same area where Dr. Demento's from.
That's right. Is he a Minnesotan?
Yeah.
So I spent the first 5 years of CPI helping out when we got a big order from NPR. We'd be sitting there putting stuff in the boxes, stuffing them. It was all labor intensive. Good old manufacturing days.
What'd you say? You're stuffing the ballot boxes? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm one of them. Yeah, it's the only way we win. So Lou, Anton LaVey, he really said that
yes, we have no bananas.
It's a satanic song. Now, how did he say? Like, what was the reason? I'm fascinated by that.
It was like a Rolling Stone article I read.
He's out of his mind.
Well, he was out. I mean, the Church of Satan, but he thought music like that. What kind of lyrics are they? Like, what does that song mean? But if you see like the videos of the old people playing, it's kind of creepy. So I think his thing was his idea. I mean, that's his loose interpretation. Like it goes, it was kitschy but weird.
Yeah,
even those Rusty Warren songs like "Knockers Up," it's not typical stuff. He thought there was a weird element to like yes, there's no bananas. If you see some of these people play these songs, it's kind of weird.
Weird is such a general term, though.
Yeah, well,
Can you?
Yes, I can. I mean, to me, when I see some of these people playing these, it's almost off-putting. Like it's like you could see him playing it in Hades Lounge. Like you're stuck. You're in. Let's say there's a hell. You're in hell forever, and you're in this bar, and it's smoky, and there's a fan, and some guys playing. Yes, there is no bananas.
So the basis of his way of looking at things was his church was do whatever you want to do. Do what thou wilt shall be. Whatever was what a
lot of hedonism. Yeah,
and I think that his thing was these people are doing what they want to do, and it's a little kooky. So I can see it now. But I just found that intriguing.
Dante's
when he said,
Inferno.
Yeah, well, I thought so too. Like I wonder what he meant by that, but I might not be explaining it well. But I get what he means. It's like people, like this stuff, Dr. Demento and stuff. It's unusual. Some of these things, even like shaving cream. Like who writes a song like that?
And I liked
and Anton LaVey's mind, I guess. It's kitschy. That had a lot to do with it. You can see the Red Devil.
Novelty
the guy in the Red Devil suit playing. Yes,
business.
we have no bananas.
Novelty songs is a whole business by itself.
Yeah,
still exists today.
And there's a picture of him on this playlist.
I don't know what they're like now.
Top hat and everything, He's got the gray beard, the top hat. He had a definitely image, Yeah,
it's about eccentricity too. I mean, these artists. I mean, the one guy wrote a song called "Poisoning Pigeons in the Park" was a brilliant mathematician that taught at MIT. These guys, I think it's fringy. That's what Anton LaVey meant too. It's kind of fringy. It's on the fringe of the mainstream, or beyond the fringes of the mainstream.
Well, here's some of the song titles in his playlist. Secret Asian Man, Dead Puppies.
Wait, Secret Asian?
Asian Man.
Wow. Dead Puppy.
Well, that was a lot of people thought that was the lyric in the right? And,
yes, they did. You got this.
Marzi Dotes, the Masochism Tango,
Lambsy Divey.
My Bologna by Weird Al. My Ding-a-Ling, of course.
Oh, wait. My Bologna was like my show.
Yeah.
Now that's funny.
Here's a good one. I remember this one. On Top of Spaghetti. On top of spaghetti.
And if Weird Al covered one of your songs, it was like a rite of passage. Like Nirvana loved it, right? When he covered that Nirvana song.
That is what I truly like to be. 'Cause if I were an Oscar Mayer,
he has that on his playlist too.
Everybody would be eating me.
Poisoning Pigeons in the Park is on there. Push the Little Daisies. I wonder if it's to Puff the Magic Dragon.
Can you play Dead Puppies?
Yeah, where was it?
It's an epic rendition at the 20th anniversary show. It's the kind of song will catch in your head, though. It's got a melody that'll stay with you for a while.
Dead puppies Dead puppies. Dead puppies aren't much fun.
Jesus.
But the video is terrible.
I got to see that video.
I think that's all I got for Dr. Demento. You want to add to it?
Fish heads, fish heads, eat them up, yum. Fish heads, roly-poly fish.
I remember that one.
Yeah, MTV too.
Yeah, it sounds like the Chipmunks.
Barnes and Barnes have some funny song titles. Cemetery Girls, just some funny things. Well, they have one called Suey Pipe. And I'm like, that's weird because when we were kids, when they were putting in sewers in the neighborhoods, like we used to call them Suey Pipes. We used to plane them before they put them in the ground. But just little things like that. Like maybe a lot of kids across America called sewer pipes Suey Pipes. Yeah, obviously they wrote a friggin' song about it. So like that kind of weird stuff, you gravitate toward that if you're inclined. So.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
That poor hippie.
So low. I see that guy in a convenience store saying, "Try some Chuli's gum."
Yeah.
Remember that, Clerks?
You want to see a guy playing a 16-string guitar or an 18-string guitar or
Is it
a
Pat
20-string guitar? I have no idea. It's just a weird thing I came across. And it's kind of silly, actually. Look at that thing.
Whoa.
Mark, you could do that, couldn't you?
How the hell does he actually make chords on that
like
thing?
a bass on top. I can't count the strings. 16, 18, 20, I don't know.
You have to see the headstock.
What else can you do with that except thump the bass,
Well, you got to get a repeater to lay down the bass line.
He's probably got a looper, yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. Who the hell would want that thing?
Well, Pat Metheny's got a guitar that's called a harp guitar, where it's got the regular 6-string.
He can
play
play it. Yeah.
He could just do it's an open tuning, and then he does the sitar sound. That takes it to a whole new level. That's just wow.
I've seen Pat Metheny play that thing.
Yeah.
But that's just ridiculous with this, And of course, what are you going to do with the bass? You're going to go boom, 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 boom. What else are you going to do with your thumb?
Well, and then loop it and then play along. But it seems like everything you'll play, and it seems like nothing he plays is going to sound any different than what he was doing. On that
right. How many songs are you going to come up with on this thing? Right.
So in the past, I've seen artists like that. Right.
Can you play bar chords on that?
I've seen artists with a unique instrument like that, and you go see them live, and for the first 4 songs you're like, this is good, but by like an hour in you're like, okay, because the freedom of all those strings actually limits you, because you're not going to do something like there's certain things you can do, and
let me watch it one more time. Watch, it's silly.
I think it's incredible, but it's just too much. Why? How much did that cost? How much did it cost to build that thing?
Right.
And look at his hands. Like my 2-year-old nephew has hands that size.
And then
actually, he's got hands like us.
That's because of the size of the neck. He's probably got hands like Eddie Van Halen.
I mean, he's an incredible talent. It's just why? Why? In the age of multi-tracking, you don't...
Imagine changing the strings on that thing.
Well, you see, but while he's on the bass, there's still stuff going on, so I think he's looping it. Yeah,
he is, of course.
Yeah.
I kind of like what he's doing there.
Yeah, plus it's on the internet, though, so you don't know. It could be complete bullshit,
It's bullshit.
It could be complete bullshit.
It's complete shaving cream.
It could be big bunch bullshit. That's what it could be.
He stepped in a pile of shaving cream.
Yeah.
Our baby fell out of the window.
So we covered
the morning laughing happy face.
Oh, God, you're obsessed with these novelty songs.
I am. No more Blue Oyster Cult. It's now novelty songs.
Yeah, I don't have any trigger warnings anyway. And I'm going to have a novelty song trigger warning.
Good.
Fish heads.
Roly-poly fish head.
Dog police.
You want to do this thing, Lou?
What's that thing? Give me a second here. Give me a second.
This thing.
Yeah, give me a minute here. Uh-oh, I lost contact here. I can't. I gotta enlarge it. Okay. If you enjoyed this episode episode 76 of the Music Relish Show, we can be found on Apple, Amazon Music, Amazon Alexa, Pocket Casts, Overcast, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, Odyssey, and we are on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook.
And the Dr. Pimento Show.
Yes, I would like some Demento cheese on my Oh, speaking of which, I forgot to mention something. Did I? If you want to see a great documentary and not watch the whole show, there's a documentary on Dr. Demento, and it's called Behind the Dementia.
Oh, I like that.
It's it came out in 2000, I think, or so it's exactly, it's all in good fun. It's put on those big people pants and get over it.
I got to apologize for playing I'm Looking Over Four Leaf Clover, because that was Mitch Miller, who hated rock and roll and hated the Beatles. I don't want to play
Yeah, but there's a lot, like Lou said before, there's a lot of this Bugs Bunny. I'm looking over a 3-leaf clover that I've overlooked be 3.
Right. I'm feeling mighty low.
Right. I saw I don't know. I saw that on Bugs Bunny, or or maybe it was Daffy Duck or whatever. Somebody got his beak blown off. I'm feeling mighty low.
It peeled into pieces. I say that when I'm tired at work. I'm feeling, but I've been saying that all my life. And like I said, I heard it from a Bugs Bunny cartoon when I was 8. But then I found out at the age of 62 where that came from. This is so cool.
Yeah. You want to do the outro, Lou? What do you want to do, man?
I think we just did, didn't we?
I'm spent, man.
Well, how about this? We email us at musicrelishshow@gmail.com. And we hope you enjoy the show. We're here every week, just about every week. And I'm Lou, and
I think on the outro this comes in. If
outro,
if Mark
spoken word stuff.
Now the electric.
Oh, that's the wrong one. We don't want that.
Wow!
We
that
want
was the
this.
intro.
We want this.
Yeah, we want this.
That's what we want.
Hey, that's an Eric Clapton album cover.
Is it really?
This outro
music.
It's
the Pilgrim album cover.
Yeah. This song was written by Perry Dedovich.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah, what was that? You didn't put that in there? Dude? Looked like Tom Spallone.
Or Scott McLean.
And here's our friend Scott McLean
there it is. There's the
No Crates and Turntables podcast. Check it out.
Hey, there he is.
There you go. What do you think, you were Einstein? Show number 76.
76. Oh, look at that guy.
76.
What do you say there, guy? Who's that drummer?
It's the world's fastest drummer. By the full moon. That's creepy.
Oh, don't trip. Oh!
They both go down. Did George go down first?
Yeah.
And then the Oneaters didn't have a drummer.
Marquee Moon.
Marquee Lou. And Marquee.
There you go.
Is that Michael Stipe?
You've become quite the graphic artist,
Like,
comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Subscribe if you like.
Yeah. Subscribe. Oh, you're talking like a Starbucks plug. Opening theme by Lou Colicchio and Tom Griffin.
Closing theme by
Perry. It's your old pal Bozo.
Oh, no, don't show clowns. No.
It's Ebola the Clown.
I don't like deep oceans. They scare me.
Aww. Hey, buddy. Best goddamn dog ever lived.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Now it's time to say goodnight.
Lou's
the host. Lou, the host, has to sign off, man.
See you soon from the Music Relish Show.
Good night.